How's it going? So, I just want to make a video about you can use context inside of the hooks. So it just doesn't have to be components, right? So we have a global context set up, wrapped around our app. So inside the context we have values, and then that's the component, okay? And then we create a file which is hooks. We call the context, which is coming from here. Yeah, from here. We consume it in here or use it, and then we just create. I just create a function that returns what's inside of the context, right? So there it is. So as soon as the component loads, we call the function, and then the thing triggers. Okay, so let's do it from start to bottom. We'll start from the beginning. Okay, I'm not gonna do context from the beginning because you can probably do it yourself. So just create standard context, put some values into it, doesn't matter what it is. Wrapper, then import the wrapper into your index. This is create React app, so wrap your app inside of it, and now every single component inside the app has access to this context. So off we go. So let's create a... So naturally you want to create a file which is hooks. Call it helper functions if you want, doesn't matter. So the first thing you want to do is you want to import React, which is import React from React, right? And then, well, what do you want to do? You want to create a hook, which is going to be const use my hook function. Well, it's just going to be use my hook. Okay. So we want to consume our context in here. So const context data equals React. Okay, so now we need to figure out which context do we want to use, and since we only have one, we're going to use this one here. So we're gonna import this from, where is it? Oh my god, where's the context? Global context is inside, wait, it's inside, yeah, there it is actually. Okay, so we'll put it in here. And what are we gonna do with this? Well, let's just create a function. Console my context, like this. And then we're gonna console log my context values, like this. And we're gonna return this function, actually. Okay, so now we need to consume this hook, so we need to obviously export this stuff. Probably hooks, yeah. Okay, so now we need to call this hook, right? So const my hook function is equal to this one here. So we're gonna call it. So when we call it, we're gonna see that the function is gonna be inside of it. There's the function. So we just have to call it, and then that's it. La la la, my hook function. Whoops. Dot. Yeah, but the hook is equal to the function, right? So we just call it. And then that's it. There it is. Honestly, most of the time, I'm not digging this syntax here because most of the time you want to export hooks kind of like this. This is a lot better. Because you can add stuff into it, like, for example, full object, and then we just create full object const full object equals to name blah. So you see you have multiple exports. So normally when you're dealing with hooks, they're kind of going to look like this, and then we're gonna export the function out of it. Well, we're gonna destructure the function out of it, right? So if we want to call the function, we just call it. Kind of, this is the more common syntax for hooks. So as you can see, it's now triggering. You see? Now, obviously, it's probably confusing for people who are starting out, so let me go back to my hook exports, I suppose. So now we're going to console log my hook exports, and we're going to see this stuff here. Yeah, so you see we have the objects. So now let's just console log the function. And dot console my... Well, what's the name of the function? Oh my god. What's the name of it? Yeah, it's this one here. Like so, and we call it, and then boom. Everything works like magic. You see? So that's our exports from the hook, and then we call the function, and it console logs whatever is inside of the context. So we saw name foo, occupation bar, so it's coming from here, you see? Like, the main purpose of this video is just to demonstrate that you can use context inside of hooks, not only inside of the components. Okay? Or some kind of wrappers. Like, you can just use context practically anywhere. Like, context, like, now I think about context more of a property passing mechanism, like kind of like a property passing mechanism rather than some kind of store. Because previously I had this assumption that context was some kind of magical tool, and it's special, I have to create special folder for it. But properties is something you can just pass around, they're kind of like a sideshow. But context is actually a sideshow as well. It's not like a... It's just convenient way to pass values from the parent. Because you have to understand that at the end of the day, this is a parent component, which has values and properties inside of it. So how do you make this available to any child, which is the most important part, which is any child on any level conveniently? And that's what useContext does, right? It's not some kind of a store where you manage your states. It's more of a property passing mechanism, I suppose. Now, of course, you can use it as a store, but I mean, I'd argue that the stores probably might be better, you know, overall. But I mean, it depends. It really is a very, very subjective question. But at the end of the day, bottom line, you can use context in hooks as well. Okay? Take care, bye-bye.